Good evening. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Lynbrook Board of Education for May 7th. If we could all please rise for the flag. Mrs. Aragona will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Everyone is present. Ms. Paleshi is not here. As we heard that beautiful music playing as we came in, I want to thank Eric Riley on the violin, Kevin Cato on the violin also, Eric Mattern on the cello, and Andrew Charpentieri also on cello. Thank you for that. We should also know that before this meeting this evening, we invited the all-county music and art students and students selected for the Long Island Spring Festival Association and Parents, Educators, and Kids Festival to take a photo with the board. We congratulate all of our many talented students on their achievements. Congratulations. Those children that did participate in that, you are free to go home because we know you have some studying to do, so thank you for sticking around. Going to do the approval of minutes. If there are no changes, may I have a motion to accept the minutes of April 23rd meeting? Mrs. Danino, second. Ms. Kelly, all in favor? Mr. Murray abstained. Still, we're going to move to the art gallery. I just want everyone to know that Mr. Kunz does work inside. And I don't know where he's going on the weekends, but it is definitely nice out there.
Its final show of the school year, celebrating the exceptional work of this year's Lynbrook All-County student artists. This special exhibition showcases artwork from 33 Lynbrook art students in grades K through 12 who were selected to represent Lynbrook in the prestigious 2025 ASA All-County Art Exhibition held on Sunday, March 9th at Herrick's High School. Organized by the Art Supervisors Association, the All-County Art Show is a distinguished event that honors the highest quality student artwork across Nassau County. ASA is a professional organization of art supervisors and administrators that advocates for excellence in the visual arts education at all levels while offering a vital forum for innovation and dialogue in art instruction. The work on display reflects a diverse range of mediums, techniques, and subject matter, from expressive paintings and drawings to complex digital pieces and puppets. This exhibition not only highlights the incredible talents of Lynbrook's young artists, but also honors the dedication of their teachers and families who support art education in our schools. Join us in recognizing and celebrating the creativity and hard work of these outstanding all-county student artists. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kunz. We have two retirements this evening. If Teacher's Aide Deborah Geiser could please stand up.
Whereas Mrs. Deborah Geiser, a devoted teacher's aide in the Lynbrook Union Free School District, has announced her intention to retire effective June 30th, 2025, following an exceptional 23-year career with the Lynbrook Public Schools. And whereas Mrs. Geiser began her service in 2003 at the elementary level, quickly earning a stellar reputation for her unwavering work ethic and heartfelt commitment to students. As former Waverly principal Lucille McGassey noted, she is to be commended for her strong work ethic and her genuine love and concern for the students she serves. And whereas Mrs. Geiser later brought her talents to Lynbrook High School, where she dedicated the remainder of her career to the Career Development Program, CDP, becoming an indispensable part of the program's success. And whereas Mrs. Geiser has been described by CDP teacher Miss Annie McKenna as essential to the program, selflessly volunteering to take on a wide range of responsibilities, including serving as the coach of the Challenger basketball team and joyfully decorating room 108 for holidays and birthdays alike. And whereas Mrs. Geiser has always worked without seeking recognition, quietly and consistently supporting her students in countless meaningful ways, driven purely by compassion and a deep sense of purpose. And whereas the Board of Education extends its sincere appreciation to Mrs. Geiser for her extraordinary service and wishes her a joyful and fulfilling retirement alongside her husband Charles as they plan their move to Florida, and with her sons Charles and James. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts with gratitude and admiration the resignation of Mrs. Deborah Geiser for the purpose of retirement.
Want to come up?
You're not getting out. You gotta go to the step and repeat. Are you crazy?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Terry, she's not here. Next one. Okay. We have one more retirement tonight, which we will read, although Carla Garvey is not in attendance, secretary at the high school. If we could read that resolution.
Whereas Mrs. Carla Garvey, typist clerk in the Lynbrook Union Free School District, has announced her intention to retire effective June 30th, 2025, after 22 years of devoted service to the Lynbrook Public Schools. And whereas Mrs. Garvey began her career in education as a teacher's aide in the Rockville Center School District in 2000 and joined Lynbrook in 2004 in the same capacity. Working at both West End and Marion Street schools, she immediately made a positive impact, bringing her caring nature and warm presence to the students of the Lynbrook community. And whereas in 2013, Mrs. Garvey found her professional home as the voice of the attendance office at Lynbrook High School. For more than a decade, she became a familiar and reassuring presence to countless parents and students who experienced the friendly and reliable Mrs. Garvey when calling in sick or signing out. A proud native of Iowa, she brought her signature Midwest warmth and hospitality to every interaction with students, parents, and staff. And whereas former LHS principal Mr. Joseph Renas once noted, for your creative problem solving, for your professionalism, and for your ability to communicate well with other students, staff, and parents, you are so important to the way the building operates and is perceived. Mrs. Garvey's thoughtful leadership and attention to detail transformed how attendance was managed in a full open campus high school, leaving a lasting mark on its daily operations. And whereas the Board of Education expresses its deep gratitude to Mrs. Garvey for her extraordinary service and commitment, and extends heartfelt wishes for a joyful and fulfilling retirement spent with her husband, Sean, daughters, Diana and Julia, their spouses, Adam and Michael, and her beloved grandsons, Camden, Blake, and Weston. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts with sincere appreciation the resignation of Mrs. Carla Garvey for the purpose of retirement.
You may now depart to enjoy your resolution. Congrats again. We'll now close the regular meeting so we can begin the big presentation everyone's been here for. Joel Press will, within 8 minutes, present us with his budget.
I thought I had 1 minute for every person in the audience.
I bet you the intern could do it in 8 minutes.
You think so? Eric, would you like to come present, please? Mr. Belmont said I had 1 minute for every member of the audience. He didn't specify which audience. I choose the audience that was in the auditorium. Therefore, I will speak for about an hour. Thank you. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right, so thank you for having. There we go. Excellent. I'm happy to be here to present the budget this one final time. This will be our final presentation of the 25-26 budget. Tonight is the budget hearing. This is required by law to be presented around a couple weeks before the budget vote itself. Just briefly, I do want to repeat, this was a tough budget year. Getting this budget into balance took a lot of work and a lot of heavy lifting. So I do have to thank the administrators in the district, and particularly my colleagues in central office who put in a lot of time and effort onto this, and the LTA for their cooperation and help with the retirement incentive, which is really, without that retirement incentive, we would not have been able to present a balanced budget without a lot of pain. So there is really no pain in this budget, I'm happy to say. So let's get into it. So the budget that we presented, that the board adopted in March, maintains these programmatic priorities, top of the list being the implementation of the profile of the OWL, the continuation of building out the continuum of special education services throughout the district at West End North and at the high school here. We continue to leverage our partnership with Northwell Health for social work and mental health support. We will continue to integrate the science of reading and the writing revolution in the intermediate elementary grades, and introducing additional micro-credentialing opportunities here at Lynbrook High School. In terms of staffing, we are adding one professional staff member. That will be an occupational therapist. This will be the third over a 3-year period that we have been bringing occupational therapists on staff. This really offsets the costs that we would traditionally see in our contract services. We have typically been bringing in contracted occupational therapists. We are starting to bring them in-house, and that's actually been beneficial for us. So the costs get offset. Additionally, the budget is abolishing 15 FTEs of teachers through attrition. And the budget also continues to fund position 1.0 FTE, a professional staff that was added after the budget last year when we recognized we needed additional E&L help. All right, so in terms of the budgets themselves, we'll start here with the Superintendent and Board of Education. Not much of a change here, no change at all in the Superintendent's budget, and a slight increase in Board of Education. There's some increases in the cost for the poll workers who work at the budget vote. Curriculum instruction and assessment. Did I skip something? Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. This one, actually, we're seeing a decrease of almost 10%. This is largely due to a reduction in other contractual expenses and workshops and curriculum writing expenses. We have shifted that professional development to internal staff occurring during the school day, so that's allowed us to save funds there, and a decrease in the charter school tuition through the reduction of one student's tuition. button the wrong way. Personnel, transportation, and student support services, we're seeing an increase in this budget of about $750,000. The large increases here are due to us having to rebid our transportation contracts. I do want to point out, we present the budgets in a budget-to-budget format. What happened here, because the increase seems rather large, but really what we're seeing is an increase over a 2-year period. We were notified last year by our transportation provider they were not going to renew our contracts, which is, typical standard practice, although they had been renewing contracts for a fairly lengthy period of time. So when they did say they weren't going to renew, we had to go out and rebid. We have been paying well below market rates for a long time. We benefited tremendously from that, and I can tell you because I came from another district and we were paying a lot more in that district than Lynbrook had been paying. So we had to rebid the contracts. The bids that came in were higher than what we were paying, but still actually below market rate. That other districts were paying. The issue was, in terms of last year, is that we're presenting budget to budget. Since we found out about these contracts not being renewed last year after we developed the budget, we're showing actually an actual expense this year of about $500,000 over budget because we were not able to budget for the actual expenses that we've seen. So if we were to look at actual 24-25 to propose 25-26, the increase is not as large. So you're seeing basically about, if you took the increase that we're seeing here, basically cut it in half, that's really the increase actual budget 24-25 to proposed budget 25-26. So I just wanted to point that out. But we are seeing increases across non-public, across the in-district transportation as well. There haven't been no changes, really, no increases in any of our routes. In fact, we've actually decreased one of the routes at KC. So there's no increase in the routes. These increases that we're seeing are due to contracts. I do also want to point out that when we first heard about the contracts not being renewed, Dr. Berman has negotiated on the district's behalf quite well with our main transportation provider, and they have been actually very accommodating when we went back to them and said, our costs are going up tremendously. They said, okay, they would work with us, and we were able to actually reduce this increase that you're seeing, while it is rather large, is less than it actually could have been and would have been had Dr. Berman not gone back to them and I don't want to say strong-arm them, but she's a very good negotiator. So I just did want to point that out. In terms of finance operations and information systems, this is the business office. The increase here is largely due to steeply rising insurance premiums. And we had a reassessment of district properties that went up quite a bit as well. So the increase here is almost $350,000. We also had to go out and get our own flood insurance. Our main insurance provider used to provide that and was no longer able to do that. So the increase here, as I'm sure you're all seeing in your own homeowners insurance and your auto insurance, rates are increasing at double digits. We are seeing that as well. Debt and interfund transfers, really nothing to talk about here. We're in the 6th year of 20 years of debt service. On the borrowing we did for the bond and interfund transfers themselves are flat. Facilities, an increase of just over 3%. We are showing a net decrease across our utilities expense lines, but we're also seeing increases in the area of the asbestos and lead abatement testing line. New York State is requiring all school districts this year to test for lead in water. They actually also lowered the threshold above which we have to remediate any problems. The threshold used to be 0.15 parts per billion. It's cut in third. So we are anticipating, based on our testing last time, a lot more of our water outlets to not pass, and we'll have to remediate them. So between the testing and the planned remediation, we're seeing increases about $68,000 there. We're increasing our maintenance codes. We have aging infrastructure. We've been having issues with some of our infrastructure failing. We're trying to right-size the maintenance codes, so there's an increase there. Similarly in the HVAC maintenance area as well. In terms of capital projects in the budget, this is an increase of $50,000 over last year. We're budgeting $600,000 for renovation of 3 bathrooms up at West End that are just, they are very, very outdated. And so we're replacing those at the same time, given the conversations we've had about moving the continuum of special ed up to West End. There's going to be additional staff. There is already not enough faculty restrooms there, so we're going to create additional staff bathrooms at West End. And then there's $150,000 in there for the renovation of classrooms at West End, again, to continue building out the special ed continuum. Our school budgets, elementary and secondary, overall is about an 18% increase. Besides generally increases in supplies and materials, we are seeing contractual increases in activities, that's clubs and activities, and instructional supervision at athletic events. We are also seeing the effects of those transportation increases show up here for things like field trips. This is, again, due to the rebidding of contracts. You'll see that the transportation showing up in several different areas throughout the budgets as we present them. This is one of those areas. Special ed, another area where we're seeing an increase in transportation of about $470,000, again, all tied into the rebidding of contracts. Overall, we're seeing a reduction of just over $100,000 in special ed. This is largely due to a sizable decrease of over $900,000 in our private tuition codes. This is due to a combination of factors, including our continuing effort to bring students back in district, students aging out of the programs, students graduating, and then other students exiting the program, in some cases when students move away. Other decreases here, we restructured some of the expenses for the Northwell Health Partnership. We moved them out of this code into the Guidance and Social Work Code, and then we're seeing an increase in related services, but that increase is offset by about $100,000 for that occupational therapist that we're bringing on staff. And then an increase of just over $100,000 in our public tuitions, public out-of-district tuitions. In terms of communications and technology, this is an increase of just under 8%, about $164,000. $168,000 increase in network administration at BOCES. This is due to our One to World project, which is we're providing laptops and devices to all of our students. Those devices are getting increasingly more expensive. Additionally, we're moving software into the BOCES network administration code from other non-BOCES codes. About $50,000 increase in telephone code due to phone system upgrades and adding backup internet lines at all of our school buildings. And then those increases are offset by a decrease in computer repairs due to equipment and services that were purchased this year that we don't need to purchase again next year. Athletics and health, again, transportation increases showing up here due to the rebidding of those contracts. So we're overall up about $130,000 in athletics and health, $167,000 increase in transportation, and then increases in coaching salaries, athletic supervisions. Those are contractual increases, offset by a decrease of about $57,000 in supplies and equipment, and then a decrease in the athletic trainer code because we brought the athletic trainer, similar to the occupational therapist, used to be a contracted service provider. We brought that position in-house. Fine and performing arts is down about $22,000. That's largely due to the fact that we had a fairly large purchase budgeted for 24-25 that we don't need to repeat in 25-26. We bought some coral risers, and that expense, we don't need to do that again. Guidance and counseling, this one is up $34,000 net. Overall, the increase is due to us, again, moving the Northwell Health Partnership, the expense for that, out of special ed into guidance and counseling, and then a reduction for budgeted costs for Central Nassau Guidance that we are no longer using in favor of Northwell Health. Special programs here, this is our summer high school, this is summer playground, adult education and the like. The increase here, about $73,000. This is because, in part, we are expanding the summer program. We're adding an academic component to that program, as well as just general cost increases for all of these programs as well. I'm going to mention here, we have mentioned it in past meetings, that there will be an increase in the cost of summer playground this summer. That's going up to $300 for in-district kids, and then $330 for the students who are not in the Lynbrook School District. Salaries and benefits going up about 2% here. Again, we've added the occupational therapists, but this increase is much lower than it would have been had we not been able to do the retirement incentive. So that retirement incentive the effect of that is reflected here. In terms of our benefits, we're budgeting for a 10% increase in our health insurance premiums. That is generally in line with what we've been seeing. This year was an aberration. I do hope it holds. The increase was very small this year, but you know, if experience tells me anything, NISHIP has done this before and then hit us with a 15% increase after a 0% increase. So we're being very conservative here in our budgeting. Social Security just going up because of salary increases. ERS going up about $200,000. That is largely due to a sizable increase in the actual ERS rate, which is dictated to us by the state. That rate has gone up effectively 9% on its own. ERS is actually going down. That is a result of two things. Number one, our salaries not increasing because of the retirement instead of not increasing as much as they would have. But additionally, the actual TRS rate decreased effectively 5% year to year. So that rate has been going down. So here's our overall expenditure summary. This is a summary of all of those previous budgets that I presented. Our overall budget, $110,153,587, an increase of just under $3.8 million, or 3.53%. So that's the budget as we present it here in Lynbrook. Every district does things their own way. The state then comes down and says, you have to present the budget in their three-part budget summary format. This allows people to compare apples to apples across all districts if someone were interested in doing that. So here's our three-part summary. We are required to present the three parts being administrative, program, and capital. Our administrative budget being just under $10 million, program the largest portion, as you would want it to be. This is the educational program, $83,669,816, and the capital at $16.6 million. The percentage breakdowns here: capital is 15% of the budget, administrative costs are 9%, and the program is 76%. That is held steady from the prior year. So the details of what comprises the administrative budget are listed here. You see the overall increase of 8.27%. Things that are in here, special items, that is insurance and our association dues for BOCEs, things of that nature. So that's gone up quite a bit, largely due to the increase in insurance that I spoke about earlier. Our program budget, the largest part of our three-part budget, is listed here. It's teaching, special ed, instructional media. Again, this is broken out differently than the way we presented the budget in previous slides, but the total here being $83.6 million, an increase of about 3%. And finally, our capital budget, it's facilities and operations, the benefits associated with the capital part of the budget, debt service, and our transfers to special aid and school lunch. So that's up about 3.2%. 4.29%. So these things are generally in line with our overall budget-to-budget increase, which is 3.53%. And that's the end of the three-part budget. So now let's talk about how we're paying for the budget. Our use of reserves, we are planning an increase here of $300,000 overall in our budgeted use of reserves. ERS going up $200,000. That is in line with the increase that we are budgeting for the ERS expense. And the other increase here from year to year was an increase in the TRS reserve of $100,000. So a net overall increase of $300,000, but a total use of reserves of $2.99 million. Our projected balance of reserves after use in these reserves is $11.5 million. The other portion of how we are paying for the budget is our local revenue. Really not a big change here. The overall increase in our local revenue is about $500,000. $300,000 of that is in our increase in use of reserves. The other $200,000 is in our pilot payments. That's payment in lieu of taxes, and that increase is largely due to our budgeted increase in the pilot for LIPA. Our state aid revenue projection, state budget was due April 1st. They don't have a budget. Usually we have final state aid numbers at this point. We do not this year. So what we're using are the projected aid revenue projections from the executive budget. So we're expecting here generally an increase in foundation aid of about $1 million with decreases in some of the other areas. Most of the other areas are expense-based aid, so it's if we spend the money, we get reimbursed for that. What we are seeing actually, even if while our expenses increases, some of the aid ratios, so we spend money, the ratio that determines how much we get paid changes from year to year, and we are seeing actually a decrease. Long Island is seeing in general a decrease in our aid ratios, and that has to do with the fact that they use wealth ratios. Long Island is looking relative to the rest of the state more wealthy or wealthier on a year-to-year basis. So when that happens, our aid ratios go down, but I won't bore you with too many of those details. So our total general fund state aid is about $21 million. I break out the UPK money at the bottom because that $842,000 is not part of our general fund budget. The general fund budget is the budget that the community votes on. So we break out the UPK money because that is allocated to our special aid fund, the F fund that we call it. So we just break it out there. So our total state aid from the state is $21.8 million. The other way that we pay, the largest single source of funding for the budget is our tax levy. And so part of what we do is we calculate our tax cap. And this is that formula. I won't walk you through necessarily all of the details, but we start with the current year's tax levy, and then we run it through this formula. I like to point out, Newsday likes to say, oh, the tax cap is 2%, and it's not, and they do it every year, and it's unclear and misleading. That 2% is one part of the formula, which is shown here on the third line from the bottom. There are other factors in here, including the tax-based growth factor, which is the growth in the taxable property within the school district. So when we go through this formula, slide 1 and slide 2, we take into account things like debt service, capital projects in our budget. The BOCES capital exclusion, which is basically part of what we pay to BOCES in terms of our administrative fees. There is no ERS exclusion this year. I left that in there because we did have an exclusion for ERS last year and our building aid. So when you run that formula, it brings us to our allowable tax levy limit. That's the tax cap. And that number is $78,895,593. That's a 2.93% increase. So that is Lynbrook's tax cap. So when we determine what our tax levy actually is, we start with our proposed budget, the $110,153,587. We look at our state aid, that's the 20.9 million. We look at our local revenue, our projected applied fund balance, which is 1.525 million. That remains unchanged from the current year. And we get our total estimated revenue of $31.2 million. The difference between our proposed budget and our estimated total revenue is $78,895,593. That is what our tax levy cap is. That's the 2.93%. So our tax cap is 2.93%. We are taxing at the cap. So Proposition 1 on the ballot, when you all go to vote, is the budget. Proposition 2 is the use of the technology reserve. So we are asking the community for permission to spend $400,000 from the technology reserve. We're asking to spend $175,000 to continue the district-wide wiring project. We have been doing this now each year at a different building, upgrading the network wiring. Additionally, we're asking for $225,000 for device replacement. This is largely going to be the replacement of touch screens at our 2 middle schools. They are running on operating systems that will no longer be supported and will no longer support the touch functionality. So we're upgrading, we would be upgrading the touch screens at both of the middle schools. We are also looking to purchase about 100 laptop devices for new middle school laptops. Just want to note that voter authorization of the use of reserves has no effect on the budget, on the tax cap, on the tax levy, I'm sorry, and it comes at no additional cost to the taxpayer. Proposition 3, another use of reserves, this from the Capital Facilities Reserve. The roof here on the old portion of the high school is past its useful lifetime. Mr. Seda and his team have been doing yeoman's work in keeping the roof from leaking too much, but it is time. It is time to replace the roof. We've got an estimate of about $2.7 million to replace the roof. Additionally, we're budgeting $500,000 for the renovation of a science classroom up at North Middle School. Again, use of reserves like this comes at no additional cost to taxpayers, has no effect on the tax levy or the budget. Proposition 4, we're asking the community to reauthorize one of our capital reserves. Actually, this is the Continuous Facilities Improvement Capital Reserve. That reserve was established 5 years ago for a period of 5 years. That 5 years expires in June, the end of June. We're just asking for an extension of 3 more years on that reserve and to increase the total full capitalization to $18 million and to maintain the maximum annual funding threshold at $2 million. Again, this also comes at no additional cost to taxpayers. This reserve would just be funded with any funds left over at the end of a fiscal year. So, in summary, the budget that has been adopted by the board, $110,153,587. It's a 3.53% budget-to-budget increase. Our proposed tax levy at the cap of $78.9 million, 2.93% increase. Just a couple other things to note. Last day to register to vote, if you are not already registered, May 14th. That's a week from today. And the all-important budget vote, May 20th. The polls open at 7 a.m. They close at 9 p.m. And you can check our website if you're not sure of your voting location. One last thing to point out, if the budget does not pass on May 20th, the board has several options. The one is to present the same budget for a revote in June. Second option would be to present a modified budget, again at a revote in June. Third option would be to go directly to a contingency budget with a tax levy increase of 0%. If the budget goes to a second vote and does not pass, then we are required by law to go to contingency with an automatic 0% increase in the tax levy. Our increase in the levy is about $2.2 million in the proposed budget. That would mean that goes away and the board would need to reduce the proposed budget by about $2.2 million. There are additional rules that are associated with a contingency budget. I won't get into them now. Hopefully we won't have to get into them, but there are certain rules that do apply. And with that, I will open to questions from the board.
I don't have any questions. This is like the umpteenth time that we as a board have gone through this work, but I do want to just acknowledge and appreciate everything that both the administrative team here and the LTA working in partnership to allow us to put out a budget that is both under the cap and does not cut programs. So just commend to everyone who was involved in that.
I'll second that. Mr. Press, if I could ask you, on page 3,
Yes.
could you just clarify for the public that when we say we're abolishing 15 FTE teachers through attrition, that we are not cutting teachers? I just want to make certain that everyone understands what attrition is, and could you dive
Sure.
into that for me, please?
Yes,
Thank
so
you.
there were no layoffs in the budget. We had a number of teachers that had retired. We are not replacing those teachers, so that's how, in terms of the retirement, that's how those positions are able to be abolished. We also had additional teachers who resigned or left the district for one reason or another, and through planning, again, central office cabinet, building principals, administration, we were able to figure out that we did not need to replace those positions.
Thank you so much.
And as noted, Mr. President, we know how much work had gone into this, how many different meetings we have had on this, and how much work was done, really from the level of the teachers all the way up to the administrators, the principals, and to obviously the administration. So it's never easy every year. I don't think people actually understand how much work went in this year because of the restrictions we had financially. So we all appreciate the work. Oh, but I would be amiss not to throw out a parting shot that for those that are paying attention, watching the news, the Queen that is our governor decided that she's going to decide that every school district can have phones in the schools, and she's putting at least $13 million towards that. So just imagine what school districts can do with $13 million to come up to a plan to not have those phones in the schools. Like somehow she knows what's best for Lynbrook, what's best for Bridgehampton, what's best for Albany. So I always like to point out those things. So every November when you have to vote, you can look at those issues. So at this time, if anybody from the community wants to address budget issues, we will close this meeting afterwards. We will then have public session where you can address any issues you want. But if you have any questions or want to address budget issues, please come to the microphone. Seeing that there are none, we are going to close that part of the meeting. Even though the agenda doesn't have, I thought all these students were here because they were so interested in the budget, and then it come to my attention they are not. And when my son took his semester abroad, I absolutely loved going to Italy. So we will revamp our schedule now because I do have the gavel, right, so I can make that decision. So we will now have that part. We will now have that part of the presentation. So if you want to come up or handle whatever it was you're going to do later. Had you brought us a little sampling of the food from Italy, we would have been a little more.
Is on. Okay. Good evening. I'm very honored to be standing here to just recap on our recent Italy trip over spring break. And yeah, we're just going to talk about it pretty quickly, but let's get started. Okay.
So on our first day, we arrived in Rome, where we traveled around. We went to the Parthenon. We went to a gelato making class and a tiramisu making class, and we went to the Trevi Fountain. which was very fun, and we got to see all the different sites and the history there. On day 3, we visited the Colosseum and the Roman Forum, which showed us where, what's it called? Wait, what's it called? The cross thing. I forget. Whatever. Sorry. But we went to the Roman Forum and the Colosseum, and it was very fun. We saw how much work they put into it and how long it took. And on day 4, we took an overnight ferry to Sicily, where we arrived in Palermo, and we saw nice things there.
On day 4, we visited Palermo, which had beautiful structures of buildings, and the architecture was just amazing to see. And the thing that I love most about this is that people who were studying Italian, like me, we were able to utilize that in every part of the day, because some people aren't able to use that with their family, and it was just amazing to do it every day and just get used to it. Next,
Seriously, we sent you to Italy and you sent us pictures of pizza?
the food there was phenomenal, and I would love to. I miss it so much, but it was. Next, we visited Taormina, and we went to a man-built theater, and it was another beautiful architecture, and then we were able to roam around, and every day we had free time where we were able to go eat, and I was a part of a group, and we went up 75 flights of stairs up to the top of a mountain, and we went into a abandoned church that they were allowing people to sightsee, and it was very beautiful, and you were able to light candles, and it was an amazing view. The next day we went to visit Mount Etna, and when we went up there, the winds were really strong, but it was just beautiful to see from so high up there, because when you looked up all over the edge, you were able to see the entire town in front of you. And then later, when we got back to the hotel, we went up to the roof, and they surprised us with the fact that Mount Etna was erupting hours later. But it was a little scary, but it was just phenomenal to see.
On day 6, we visited Syracuse and Catania, and our tour director, Francesca, she was actually born there, and we got to see her city and the culture, and it was just so amazing to see everything incorporated, and just taking our prior knowledge that we have learned in our foreign classes and bringing it to her hometown. So, yeah. And then for Easter, we spent it in Pizzo in Salerno. And in the morning we stopped by Pizzo, and at night in Salerno we actually went to visit a mass. And the priest actually called us out in English, and he acknowledged us. And it was just really great to see that kind of crossover. So, yeah. And on day 7, we visited the Amalfi Coast, and on this day we took a lemon farm tour, and we got to see the passed down generations of this man's farm, and we actually got to try the lemons, and they were very different from our lemons, and And on day 8, we visited the ruins of Pompeii. Does anybody have anything to say about that? Do you want to say anything? No? Okay. We explored the archaeological site, and we got to see all the towns and all the civilization of what they formed before it got obviously torn down. So, and unfortunately, we had to leave at some point, so we said bye to our tour director, Francesca, who really helped us throughout the whole trip, and she was so accommodating to everybody, and yeah, she was just a great tour director for us. And finally, we would like to say a big, big thank you to Ms. Trankina, because without her, this trip would not have been able to have came to life at all, and yeah. And we also want to give a big, big thank you to our chaperones, Miss Marchignoli, Miss Sanchez, Mr. Paleo, and Miss Laley, who are all here tonight. And yeah, we're just gonna have some people speak really quickly on their experiences. So, yeah.
Okay. This trip was truly the trip of a lifetime. My greatest dream is to travel the world, and I couldn't have imagined a better way to begin that journey with this unforgettable experience. Miss Trankina and the incredible chaperones made every moment meaningful, turning every trip into something truly extraordinary. Every activity was both enjoyable and engaging, and I find myself missing it more and more with each day passing. This experience was not only amazing, it was the perfect first step towards making my dreams a reality. And a little less professionally, I bonded with so many people that I never crossed paths with, and they're now my closest friends.
Good evening. First of all, I would really like to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Lynch, and our principals for allowing us to go on this amazing opportunity. We literally got to go to Italy. That's like 9-hour flight away, and obviously we all had to make a choice, to spend our spring break. I played baseball. I had to choose that over baseball, and I honestly think it was 100% worth it. Like she said, like Julia and they said, Miss Trankina and our chaperones were amazing, and Francesca. We love Francesca. She was our tour guide and very knowledgeable, very professional, and she was really the best. EF Tours did an amazing job playing this out for us, and yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to let us go.
Good evening. So I've been taking Italian since 7th grade, and we always talked about the culture and the stuff that you experience in Italy, and I was always oh, I was unsure about it. But going to Italy and I can spot out during lunchtime most Italians go home for lunch and eat, even in the schools, and I didn't realize that was true. And I was able to talk to people in Italian to understand what they were saying. I think I wouldn't be able to have done that if it wasn't for this trip and this amazing opportunity. So thank you.
We'd like to just give one more big thank you to you guys as our board and for having this school-sponsored trip. And we hope that in the years forward we can continue this. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
You gotta tell me something about the food that you ate there. I mean, you were talking Italian. Tell me some of the dishes that you had there.
Billy, you hungry?
Oh, tartufo. I got free tartufo for saying Buona Pasqua to an old Italian man, and it was really good.
They eat gelato on a brioche.
Oh,
Yeah.
on a brioche, which is like a bread roll.
Yeah.
Very good.
The gnocchi there was so good, and
Yeah,
So
pasta.
the pasta was very thin, but it was really good.
And it wasn't as fattening as it is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot less preservatives than we cook. Well, for us, it was important to hear back from you because it's been a while since we had students do a trip like this. So, one, making sure you were able to do it, priority first being safely and in a healthy manner and so forth, and being no issues was important. But also hearing how the trip went for you, the excitement you had, and how it impacted you is very important. So future classes can go and experience, because, like you said, it is a very unique experience to go away with people you grew up with and people you didn't know that well, and to bond with them and to see another culture. So it's very exciting for us and very rewarding to know that you enjoyed that experience. Thank you. Thank you for telling us about it.
Thank you.
We'll actually give those students a few minutes to, you could leave. We know you're not here for the rest of the meeting. Moving on with our meeting, report from trustees. Policy Committee, tonight is the second reading and adoption of Policy 2350, Board Meeting Procedures, and 4321 for programs for students and disabilities. Ms. Luna, I don't believe we had any updates from the PTA?
No, nothing for this meeting.
Mrs. Kelly, anything for DEI?
Just very quickly. The DEI Diversity Council had its last meeting on May 1st. During that meeting, there was a more detailed discussion regarding moving the work of student belonging and inclusion as a standing item to the building level shared decision-making committees, which is known as Compact. District-wide issues could be discussed at the annual Compact meeting with the Board of Education and potentially quarterly district-wide Compact meetings, as well as through the PTA, school and community, and curriculum groups. Second half of the meeting was dedicated to Mr. McDermott, who demonstrated the extensive communication features available in Parent Square, including translation and accessibility. Finally, on behalf of the board, I would like to thank all of those who served on the District DEI Council this year. It was a pleasure as my first time in the role. So thank you so much, and thank you to Dr. Belekas for being there with me at every meeting.
And we have no old or new business, so moving on to superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Belmont. So just to give an update on our board goals. So the first is our implementation of the profile of the owl. I'm going to go a little out of order here and give you a preview for next year, just based on, I wish the kids were still here for this one. But when we unveil the formal profile of the owl, as you know, last year we did a deep dive with the community. This year we did a deep dive with the faculty. So 4 themes have emerged, and that 4th theme is something we're going to be calling global citizenship. And I think we have just seen global citizenship at its absolute best. So that was just a great thing. But in addition to that, we did have our first professional development committee meeting. And again, as I mentioned at the last board meeting, we're now going to drill down and get teachers involved in planning their own development aligned with the profile of the owl. So we're very excited about that. Our second goal was the multi-tiered systems of support. And that committee with school and community, which is the PTA committee that was tasked with working with us, we operated on SEL goals, social emotional learning goals. And we had the rookie of the year, Mrs. Boyce, was with me on the committee. And we did a quick recap this week of what we accomplished as a committee, and I think we felt this was like we did a lot, like that we really moved the needle. So the biggest one was launching the Northwell partnership, and it wasn't, we knew we were going to launch it, but it's also how do we communicate it, how do we get it out to parents. That's the committee that helped us critique the website. No, you should say it this way. No, you should say it that way. Put it up there. Make sure people find it. So that was invaluable. I cannot remember parent universities being as well attended when they were concentrated on social emotional learning. Mr. Belmont, you attended a parent university. It was really a great thing. We launched the SEL screening at the elementary and the middle schools. That was all done with the feedback of that committee. And then we're going to now start to see, just like DEI is going to be moving to the buildings, SEL work is going to be to the buildings. It's one thing to talk about philosophy and calling it out as a separate thing. I don't think that's where we're about anymore. I think we're about doing the actual work, and that will be happening at the building level. So those were just a lot of goals that were accomplished. And then our third goal, it was very exciting. I'm a horrible secret keeper, so I've seen the first preview of the new website, and it is going to be beautiful. So we're going with a much more sleek, more modern design. We're trying to work. We have heard you loud and clear. I think our navigation of our current site is a tad confusing. So we're really working with PTA to make sure that it's streamlined so that people can find stuff where it is. And we are looking forward. It's an ambitious launch date, but we think we can make it by July 1st. So, and I thank Mr. McDermott and Mrs. Cornicello for helping us out. So those are kind of the 3 goals. A couple of things I do want to talk about that I do want to mention, Mr. Press, that his staff was just awarded the Finance Officers Association International a certificate of excellence. So that makes their 2nd certificate this year and the 12th or 13th annually. So that is really what it's for, is transparency and reporting. And I said to the board, this particular, I mean, we're always transparent about the budget, but I think you folks need a lot of thanks. We took you out a lot of nights. We took you out on Tuesday nights just to discuss where that retirement incentive was going. So you really did a lot of the work, and we talked about it, warts and all through the process, keeping you informed and keeping the public informed. So I thank you on behalf of that. And again, big congratulations to Mr. Press and his staff. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Belekas for the curriculum update.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch. I'm going to piggyback on some of the board goals, especially with the profile of the owl here. So we're happy to announce that our high school students enrolled in Miss Ehrlich's Advertising and Marketing and Dr. Tinneber's Virtual Enterprise 1 and 2 classes have begun work on micro-credentialing through Coursera. By the end of the school year, 38 students in Advertising and Marketing are on track to earn Adobe Content Creator Professional Certificates, demonstrating their emerging abilities to create strategic marketing content using industry best practices and generative AI. Through this 4-course series, these students are learning how to understand and apply basic visual design principles, explore diverse career opportunities in design, gain hands-on experience with Adobe Express to easily create professional quality design projects, and build a stunning portfolio that showcases their design expertise and proficiency with Adobe Express. Also, by the end of the school year, 51 students in Virtual Enterprise 1 and 2 are on track to earn their IBM Business Analyst Professional Certificates, learning the job-ready skills needed for a career as a business analyst. Through this 7-course series, these students are learning strategies and methods such as process modeling, requirements gathering, stakeholder engagement, project management, systems analysis, data analysis, and visualization. Thank you for supporting these wonderful opportunities for our students as we continue to implement the recommendations for the profile of the OWL. You know, this is a really cool kind of things where kids are actually working, getting on work credentials, so they can get jobs at the end of these opportunities, which is kind of awesome. So very good resume build for all these students.
I just want to add, I do want to add something to that. So I don't know if Dr. T is here, but it was very interesting. So I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a lot of contacts because I'm old, and I've been in a couple of different places. I've been in this industry for 37 years, so you kind of get to know a lot of people. But I come home one night, and I have like 25 notifications. And I'm like, 25 notifications? Oh, there he is. 25 notifications, like who is notifying this? And what Dr. T had done, and just a basic pillar 3 of the profile of the OWL is real life skills. So what he had the kids do is say the words, I am honored to have participated in a Coursera course that gave me this credential, and then the bit of genius, thank you at Paul J. Lynch for this opportunity, thank you at William Belmont for this opportunity. So now it tags me. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm not going to like appreciate that post. So I appreciate that post. I'm a little out of my comfort zone because now I have like 25 friends who are seniors at senior high school on my LinkedIn network. And the best thing I saw last night, Ben, I didn't even get to tell you this, I saw my contacts liking their posts. So these are superintendents in other districts. These are curriculum directors in other districts. I don't know if people know, I was in the software industry for a year. So my contacts from the software industry are now liking our kids' posts, so now their names are out there. And just that simple, you know, we all know what that is. Thank you at Paul J. Lynch. That the network is what it's about. And to learn that at 16 and 17, I didn't know that until I was 32. So for them to learn that at 16 and 17 years old, that's as real life skill as it gets. So yeah, I think we're on a good path there. So I assume I'm about to go home and have 25 other notifications, and I'll have to.
So just to piggyback on that, furthermore of what Dr. T's been doing, working heavily with the real life skills that our kids need. We have on LinkedIn, which Dr. T will soon be taking over, the Lynbrook Business Networking site. And we continue to add, you know, Dr. T and I several years ago created this, and now the kids keep joining it and connecting. What I'd love to do for maybe more than the 5 that are here, but for anyone listening, we have now probably getting to the hundreds range of our students that have graduated that are there. This could be a great resource when you're looking to hire someone or where our kids are looking for jobs. It would be great for anybody who's listening on the video out there. If you're looking to hire, this is a great place to look to go to join, to post jobs that you're looking for or looking to connect. I can't stress to you enough, I know we have many educators on board and some that are not, it's an incredible resource. And so Dr. Key's been funneling these kids constantly. It's in essence what Facebook is socially, LinkedIn is professionally, and it's an unbelievable resource. So if I'm coaching a kid and he says he wants to go to law school, he wants to be an engineer, he connects with me on LinkedIn, I have 5,000 contacts, he can go through my contacts. Now he just has to hit somebody up and say, hey, can I have a 10-minute conversation? I'm looking to go into this career. Is your company hiring? So it's more than just the thumbs up and so forth. It's an incredible resource, and if we can find a way, or it's always difficult to find somebody to take it and run it, but we have the infrastructure now on LinkedIn for a business networking site for LinkedIn students and graduates and alumni, and hopefully that can continue.
Billy, I'll just follow on what you said with Dr. T's VE class, Virtual Enterprise. Sometime in the first quarter or second marketing period, there must have been a lesson on use of LinkedIn and how to use it to reach out, because every single kid in the VE class, I one day went into my LinkedIn and I had 30 or 25 invitations of all kids who want to be my friend. And it's odd, I'm seeing all these kids want to be my friend, and I generally on social media wouldn't want to interact with students, but this is on a professional platform. It's really cool. They all took the initiative. They all sent, presumably because I'm a board member and maybe some others saw that as well, and they all reached out, and now, yeah, they're seeing my posts, I'm seeing their posts, and you're spreading it. It's a great resource, but that's the real world skills that we're talking about, right? It's great to learn all the topics we need to learn, math and reading and writing and social studies, but in the real job market, these are critical skills, and I think it goes hand in hand with the micro-credentialing, right? How to use LinkedIn. I have people who work in my law firm who don't know how to use LinkedIn, and we have these high school kids who are using it like masters. It's really cool. So, thank you.
And now Mr. Lunar and I are going to have a competition as who has more friends.
You are definitely going to beat me in that one.
All right, well, they're figuring that out. I'm going to continue. Lynbrook's annual STEAM Night will be taking place on Monday, May 12th at 7. As we said last time, everyone in grade 4 is invited to the Lynbrook Senior High School gym to see all about the wonderful STEAM opportunities at the high school. They'll also have an opportunity to visit our facilities and hear about some of the clubs and extracurricular activities involved up here at the high school as well. Last thing, and I know this is unrelated to my report, but I do want to make sure that people notice this. Earlier today, I sent out a Parent Square message updating about the Power School, basically the data incident that we received an extra report. So I just want to make sure that you heard about this development. Power School informed us that a threat actor has reached out to multiple school district customers throughout the world in an attempt to extort them using data from their previously reported December 2024 incident. As a reminder, following that incident, Power School offered and made widely available credit monitoring and identity protection services for a period of up to 2 years for students and faculty, regardless of whether their information was individually involved. In that Parent Square message, I resent that link today. So if anybody is interested in that credit monitoring, please take advantage. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Belekas. And just another shout out for that STEAM night. So that was something that we used to call Women in STEAM, and now it's just STEAM. Because again, calling out, it's a good thing for everybody. I think that's the whole concept. So I really, if anyone's watching or when you watch this replay, please have the kids come, because Lynbrook High School in the area of the sciences and engineering is doing incredible work. And I think sometimes if all you've had exposure to is your elementary school, which are doing incredible work, but when you can see what your career path can be, and when you get kids inside our science research lab, and when you can see our computer, our CAD lab, and when you can see our science labs, and you can see our drone lab, and you can see our, that this is your high school. You are coming here, and it may make you think about what you should be pursuing. So I really think that is and we have our own, it's one thing for our teachers to talk, it's our own kids. So these are, when you've heard them up here, some of them, they have these projects that all of us we polite and we oh yes, very interesting. We don't know a word they're talking about, but that's just how brilliant these kids are. And when you hear them on this STEAM night, explain their projects to fourth graders, and they're able to actually explain the project, and the fourth graders ask a good question about the project. I just done all the elementary science fairs, and you can actually see that progression from that science fair where they're making slime or they're doing all that stuff, and then where that progresses up to what's happening here at the high school. So I would really encourage that for people to come out.
And Dr. Lynch is not overselling. I have a junior, and we've started the college visit nightmare. And our research lab here is definitely on par with or ahead of a number of the labs that we've seen in colleges that we're visiting. Maybe not Hopkins, but it's up there with some good schools. So it's a credit to the district for having supported that. It really is a beautiful and very well facility. Everything in there is top notch.
And Mr. Press, Capital Projects?
We were just talking over here, and when we were in high school, we were happy to have a Bunsen burner, right?
All right, capital projects updates. Not a whole lot has changed since my last report, which was actually only about 2 weeks ago. But the door projects at West End and Marion Street continue to move along. The company that is doing the wiring for the, well, this is going to sound odd, the wiring for the wireless door locks. They have to wire the wireless devices that communicate with the wireless door locks. That work continues. The real heavy lifting will happen over the summer. Our bathroom projects here at the high school, the faculty bathrooms here and at the administrative building, and then the repointing work at Marion Street was approved by the state. We're actually opening the bids on that tomorrow, so fingers crossed we get some good pricing there. And that work will actually also happen this summer. There was some work that was completed out here. We installed some new bleachers on the softball field here at the high school. I saw a picture of that, and they look great. But hopefully by our next board meeting, I'll have a little bit something more concrete to report along the lines of these capital projects.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to public comment. If anybody would like to address the board, please come to the microphone, identify yourself, and indicate if you are in or out of district.
Hi, Ivy Riley, resident. Couple of things. First, I want to also plug the Science Research Symposium along with STEAM Night because, my kid is a product of the Science Research Program, and it's an amazing program. And you'd have to see it to understand it. I know that he stole your title, Dr. Lynch, but he did do the work, and he learned it from the amazing teachers here. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I was very excited to see and hear the comments from the kids that went to Italy, and I think it's great that we brought back this trip, or an international trip. But the one thing that kind of bothered me when I was hearing them speak, and it brought up some thoughts, was when somebody said that they were going to be benched because they missed sports. And that's something, as a parent of athletes, we've experienced ourselves. And in football, my son chose not to go on our summer vacation because he didn't want to miss a day of football, and that was his choice. But when you're on a school trip, I think that, a school-sanctioned trip, I think that's a little bit different. And I think when there are school events that kids go to, there should be some consideration and some maybe collaboration and communication with the athletic department and the coaches about accepting that as part of the educational process. I just want to bring it up because I think it's a conversation worth having, and it's something that we can do better in Lynbrook with,
there's choices, but there's school. And when we're trying to increase their ability to have this global citizenship, and they are afraid to go on a trip because they're going to miss a game and then or two, or which is happening during a, by the way, religious holiday and happens every year. They have to make this decision between doing something for school and playing, knowing that they may never play again for the rest of the season, and that just stinks. So I'd like you to all think about that and maybe have a conversation and see if we can make some progress in a better direction if we're going to push this global citizenship, because I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Seeing nothing else, moving on with the meeting, moving to consent agenda. I'd like to ask for consent agenda on resolutions 2505C1, 2505C2, 2505C1, NC1 through 2505NC4, and 2505G1 and 2105G22. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Lunar, second. Ms. Aragona, all in favor? May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Mr. Murray, second. Mrs. Danino, all in favor? Even though I put all kinds of notes in regarding the vote, I'll repeat what Mr. Press put out. Budget vote election is Tuesday, May 20th. If you are registered with the Nassau County Board of Elections, you are registered to vote in the district election. Individuals may register to vote for the Lynbrook election, may do so in the district clerk's office Monday to Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. The last day to register to vote is May 14th. We also have a registration on that date from 4 to 8 p.m. in the high school conference room. Always Terry's favorite part of the year. Please contact the district clerk if you would like an absentee or early mail ballot application. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on May 20th. Our next meeting is on June 11th. And that is all, folks. Have a good night.